Okay, so within the Nikki story, let's not make side tracks and too many exits from the main plot. Now I was thinking how to do it while doing it. Within the Nikki story, let's introduce a little the Claire story because while I was with Nikki, at the back of the mind, before and after Nikki, there was this idea of escaping the gulag, the communist heaven, they called it. We knew it was the other thing. Like in that joke, I don't think I mentioned it here. I mentioned it in writing. The version is also available for only $100 subscription on the blog. So Ceausescu is on a visit to the US. When I worked with AT&T, I used this as an AT&T plug. In meetings, I would introduce with this my colleagues into the jokes somehow. Used it when we had to make presentations of what's going on in our territories and so on. I had Romania and Bulgaria from one point on. So let's say he visits the AT&T headquarters. They say, look, Mr. President, we have this invention, this phone, you can talk to heaven. Straight line. He tries to, but there's no one he knows in heaven. His friends are in the other part, in the other place. Don't worry, we have a line with hell too, with another phone. He talks with hell for 5 minutes and the bill is $5,000 at the end. He loves this idea, buys a phone to use in Bucharest. And from here he talks on the phone with hell for 5 hours, let's say. And the bill at the end is 5 lei, something like $2 maybe in the currency of that time. Today it's about $1, I guess. And at the official rate was it? Doesn't matter. And he says, how come? In America for 5 minutes I paid $5,000 and here for 3 hours I paid $2. 5 lei. And the operator says then, yes sir, but it was a local call. In other words, this was hell. So I wanted to escape hell. And the way to do it was cross the Danube. I've seen a film some time ago with a balloon. They made a balloon and other things, try to jump on an oxygen tube, which would work as a rocket. But then you could die because it didn't have any guidance and it just blew in. And it could be death, jail, anyway. On top of the train, I know a guy at the sauna, the American, let's say, Robert, the American. He tried to flee on top of the train, but he was found at the border, a black with suit, and returned. Quite a character. Trump supporter, alas, and with that, let's cut his cord here, his presence in the story. Maybe he will return later, but maybe not. I mean, Trump supporter. So, the other way, less perilsome, was marrying. So now enters the stage Claire. She was on a British group. She was from Sheffield. We met at the airport. She was doing a long trip here. 1 week, a tour through Romania, surely Până Brașov, because this is one stop, one night of love. And then maybe I think it could have been Târgu Mureș, And from there on, it doesn't matter. Maybe the monasteries. And at the end, Bucharest and a week at the Black Sea. Okay. Uh, we saw and liked each other clearly because from the airport on the way, because we talked a little at the Leboda. They stayed at the Leboda Hotel. Nice location, nice place. It used to be something princely, a Boer's house or something. I forgot the history of it. I knew then because I had to say things about what we saw, where we stayed. Uh, so, if not the first night, which I think it might have been, the second night we slept together. 69 things, and then more intimate and closer to each other. The problem here was that she was not at my level, which by now you guessed is so high. No, I'm just. This is an exaggeration and a joke, but still, to be honest, even if we're in the AT&T courses at the Atlanta Olympics and in other places, I don't. This is when you shouldn't say to be honest with you. To be completely honest, to be perfectly. That's nonsense. I mean, what are you saying? Before you have been honest, now let's be honest, and then later. Another thing's very interesting. Don't say help. Don't shout. If the sky comes to knock my head, I will not say help. So you should know. I would say fire, and come and rescue us. Another thing's interesting. So to be honest, no, to be to be serious, to be serious and not joke. Why not? She wasn't really educated. I think she graduated high school and then she worked. I don't even know as what, as a cashier in a shop or a nurse or what. Nurse has to have some training. And I'm not saying she was stupid, poor girl. She picked the best choice she could make, and she acted so fast, and she realized so fast I could be the knight in shining armor. I wouldn't be. Let's anticipate and give the story, this piece of the story in already. But still, she backed the right horse. The horse had an accident, or well, exited the race at one point, but still, the one with the long shots, the best odd. So that was interesting and I think within the Nikki story, this may have two chapters. We're 8 minutes already. In that there were some peripety, some antics, adventures, not huge, but still, involving her and her friend. In this tour, we were two. I guess this guy had the upper hand because, first of all, he was a little older and more experienced than me, maybe 2, maybe 5 years. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. He was related. He had a strong back network connections. His name was Dăscălescu, and it seems he was in the family of the prime minister of the day. Of course, the major guy was the most beloved son of the nation, the great leader, Ceausescu. And in anything else was miles behind, but still member of the nomenclatura of the apparatchiks and quite near the top there. And nephew, cousin, whatever he was, nu merge, n-ai cum. He wants to stay on the same, it's the small place, and they start picking at each other. Like they don't cause me enough trouble already. Murder in life, snuff movie. Uh-huh. Not enough place, as I said, but it's useless to tell him. Doesn't get it. Keeps trying. It's true. They used to stay on the same thing, and for that we would go in the house. So let's hurry up because the boys want to get in. So, Daskalescu. Stefan. Nice guy. I thought he looked like De Niro. A little bit. We work together fine on all fronts. Alas, he will have a vicious role to play later, after this whole Claire story, in that he will cheat me when he would bring a car later. He would bring me a car of $500 or so, maybe less, damaged, which had to be repaired here I mean, it's been through a car crash, maybe sold out for nothing as a totaled car, which would work wonders eventually on Audi. It was like a helicopter. I kept saying that and keep saying it, repeating, because it explains why I fucked so many girls because of this helicopter, the aspirator vacuum thing, which boasted a status immensely and attracted women, thinking this is the guy, this is the rich Rockefeller at that day. But anyway, the car was perhaps $500, but he took $1,700 for it. I mean, okay, you get a profit, but not. And in those days, it was all I had, and you don't take 2/3 of what somebody owes as profit. When anyway, also the relationship was different. It wasn't a business deal and said, okay, I'm gonna ask you for this much and I will bring you this, and we'll get to that. It was dishonest. However, he was a nice guy for what it's worth when we were together. When he was sleeping, though married, I wasn't. I wouldn't be for another long time. And I'm not even, so if you're into, the wife says once in a while that, well, I'm abject and useless and pointless and so on. But then also, some couple of weeks ago, when I said my wife this or that, says don't say my wife. I'm not your wife. I mean, you're just. So then I guess I'm not really married, except on a piece of paper, which is worth exactly the paper it's written on. So married, but he was fucking the other girl, a driver of an ambulance, something like that. So I don't remember what Claire was exactly. Only that she didn't have a university degree, and I was with an IQ twice hers. I'm again joking, but I probably would have had problems to work if it were to happen, a marriage, because I don't. The saying, as so many sayings, as Constantin Noica said, silly. Opposites attract. Fuck that. And opposites will, maybe they attract, maybe they fuck well together, but they wouldn't work as a couple. I mean, if I'm into reading so much and she doesn't read, or she reads Dan Brown, 2 novels over 3 years, it's worlds clashing, worlds apart. So we have to continue tomorrow anyway with the story.